Hey, and welcome to Let's Play Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 episode Gazillion something. We are still not done, and people are still not tired of this Let's Play, in which I do the same thing every damn time. So, let's keep going. In this episode, we're going to do some of that boring stuff. You know, building Spanish buildings in this case. Okay, in all honesty though, I really don't know if this building was, in the end, worth it. If it was actually good. Because something I did with this building was really just a very bad idea. That was jump into it right away without actually practicing with stuff. And I know that I always say like, oh yes, I practice things before I do Let's Play videos and stuff like that. And to be very honest, you don't really see that usually, but now I didn't practice, and you can clearly see that I didn't practice the theme at all, because holy shit, this looks terrible in the end. Okay, no, it doesn't look terrible, alright, but I was just streaming and messing with this building, and even in the end, it came out alright, especially for a theme park. I feel like it definitely does its job, but it's nothing outstanding. It's nothing that I really think like, oh yeah, this is really what I want to have, so I might eventually, in the end, maybe change this. But this building's not the only thing that is going to be coming around in this episode. It's also kind of about the planning of general things. I need to start heading into areas. Like, thus far, I haven't planned anything except from the main street in Rollercoaster Tycoon 3. There is that one drawing and a couple of other ideas that I have here and there, which is just very chaotic, and I can't organize anything for shit. So I really need to get to the planning aspect in Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 as well. And that's also going to be a small part of this video, because the first area that I wanted to do was the Mediterranean area with the Greek, Spanish and Italian-ish themes. And these are not going to be mixed, of course, but I hope that I might be able to get all of them in, but it's going to be tough with the Greek theme, because it is indeed quite different. But so far, I think it should kind of work out with this building. I should talk about this building, honestly. I never do that. Like, I never talk about the things that are actually going on. Damn it, focus. This building is just... Okay, I wanted to have something on this corner, because this was the only corner, I think, where I can actually get a Mediterranean building in. Because like I said, I want around the square to get all buildings of all kinds of places in the world to represent the, well, area in the park with that theme. So, since this is the corner where I'll have the Mediterranean theme, I'll have a Mediterranean building over here, but on the other side of the path, I already want to have either a Dutch or Flemish-ish building, maybe both, who really cares? But, yeah, the thing is that it's really hard to get those facades right, especially because there's many themes next to each other that you wouldn't really place next to each other in other cases. And like I said, I'm really stepping out of my comfort zone with this theme. And while this is a good thing, because I don't want to stay in the comfort zone, there's not only is it just boring to do the same thing over and over again, it is also a pitfall, and it might actually become a bad thing after a while. Since you do the same things, you start using the same sets over and over again, and you really get a loss of creativity, and there's not really much going on. Whereas usually when you start a new theme that you haven't really tried, you try to mess with the sets, and eventually you really get something awesome just by messing with stuff, and you find out new things. So that's just always a great development. But in this case, I went into this building quite unprepared in the theme, with just a general idea in mind. And mind you, I also don't think that the Spanish theme in general is great for facades, especially like this, because a facade building is something completely different from like a house in the middle of a forest or something like that, which is the type of, well, building that you would normally find in Spain, at least with the theme. And there is a distinct difference between a facade building and just a random standalone buildings, basically what I was trying to say. And to get that very distinct Spanishness into a building with just a facade in a way that you would have them in the middle of many cities is kind of hard. So I wanted to get something that's kind of in between. It's both a facade in a way, but it could also work as a standalone building. But this is also where I think the building's main weakness is that I have right now. It's not really clear what it's trying to be. Like, there's a couple of roofs and stuff all around the thing, which is meant to be looking interesting. But then again, it also just looks like this building is here to be a building, but it's not really adding anything substantial to the facade as a whole. So I might redo some things about this building. Maybe in the future just completely remove it. But since this is something that, you know, I've worked on in an episode, and it really would feel like a shame if I wanted to remove that, given that I've already had an episode in which it appears, I'll just let it stay for now, kind of build around it. Maybe it's going to work in the end with the scenery around it, but I think I'm still not really happy about it. And it's always hard to say this, but especially because I know that there are people out there who would think, well, I can't do shit like this either, so what's the big deal? And I would almost feel like I'm downgrading other people if I'm downgrading my work, if they feel like I am better than them, which is definitely something which I don't want to say. Everybody's got their own thing and everybody's got their own theme, and that's why you can't really, well, judge things like that. Also, that's the reason why this building so far is not really working out too well. But yeah, I shouldn't complain about my own things. It was still kind of fun to build this building, and if anything, I would like to say that removing things is not ever a completely terrible thing in Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 that you should despise, and that if you work on a building for 3 hours and you in the end remove it and just completely leave it out of your park, it is not a wasted building, because every single building that you build, especially when you're new to the theme, is a learning experience. And hell, I should actually say yes, go into empty parks, try to build buildings with a theme if you haven't done it before, because if you do something like that, then at least you won't waste your time with buildings that you'll eventually remove, and you'll go into the theme fully prepared. And maybe, because sometimes this happens, you open up the empty sandbox, you decide to mess with a theme you've never tried before, and something great comes out. You can just save the building and use it in your park later on, so everybody wins. And that's just a small tip that I would like to give, to not be me, not screw up, and just do things in a neat and organized way that actually works. So this over here, I don't know why, but at some point I felt like, yeah, I want some kind of little bar outside of this building, just with little stools and chairs and just a bar, just an outside little bar, because I felt like, you know, you kind of have that in the Mediterranean area sometimes, like these very small restaurants, like you don't really see them and they're just along the outskirts of the really tourist attractions, but they're so small and cute and they always have great food. Basically, that's the ideal situation. That's the kind of stereotype that I have in my head, but that's the kind of thing that I wanted to have here. Don't know if anybody understands me, probably not, because I'm really talking gibberish right now, but that was the idea I had there, but that was removed anyway, so yeah, I cry every time when that happens. By the way, I just left this building kind of unfinished when it comes to this side, because I was really undecided about what the final fate of the building was going to be, and I needed to move on to this stuff, the planning right here, because that needed to happen. I really needed to get some planning down in this park, just see what else I can do with it. Now, I do realize that I did skip a bit of the time-lapse over here. I'm very sorry, I actually forgot to record over there, and that was a really terrible thing. I should not do something like that, and I am really terrible at remembering anything in my life. But this area is just... okay, there's a couple of things that I'm kind of worried about when it comes to this area. Is the fact that I feel like there may not be enough space to actually build anything substantial over here, since, you know, that's that lake-ish thing, river, I don't even know what to call it, a body of water over there, because water is cool, and there is the train rail which kind of marks the border of the park. By the way, this park is not going to be a complete circle. I definitely don't want to do something like that. There's going to be some areas that are going to be slightly larger than other areas, especially when they have a mixture of many themes. I definitely think that the Alpine-ish area and the Japanese-ish area will be the largest areas of the park, and they may actually have their respective castles, but that's something to not talk about right now. This is basically going to be the Mediterranean area, with its main attraction, just a very small oak flume. Still don't know exactly how I'm going to fit that in, but basically it's going to have the small lake in the middle, kind of like Chiapas, and have some facades around that, and the splashdown is going to be right in the middle of that thing, and it's going to do some shenanigans on a mountain, and those rocks right there are just a little placeholder for the future mountain that is hopefully actually going to look okay, and that is basically how this area is going to work out. But that's also it for this episode, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next episode, in which I'm going to do, I don't even know yet, because I haven't recorded it yet. I really need to start working on this park again, because I haven't really done anything in it yet. In any case, auf Wiedersehen, and see you, Space Cowboys.